Hi, hello, it's me, the Grandma Quilter, and this is hopefully another episode, and this is how I do it. Today, because the last one disappeared because it was never taped. Anyways, that's a story for another day. Today, I'm going to talk to you about what I do when a pattern confuses me. Again, every person understands things their own way. There are people that are more visual, people that are more auditory, people that are more tactile. I'm a combination of all. When I see something I really like, I start looking at it before I do anything else. I'll look at a pattern and I will literally just look at it. There we go. Concentrate on how I see it. If it's a quadrant, if it's a block, if it's a row, if it's a column. A lot of little things that I see. Me. Not necessarily you the way I see it. I am a person that I detect patterns in everything. That's the way my eyes go. So if I see a pattern, not necessarily a quill pattern, but a pattern of color or a pattern of shapes or anything like that, that's the first thing my eyes gravitate towards. So I was looking at this pattern because I fell in love with it. And it's called the Oklahoma Twister. Let me bring it up to the camera so you can see it. There you go. Now, that is really cool. I love the way it looks zigzaggy. And I just started looking at it and I started watching the videos. This is by Carol Thelen, who I adore. And I saw her videos, but I wasn't grasping. It's a very easy pattern, but I wasn't grasping how to cut it. So I downloaded this one, the Five Oaks Retreat, that has the Oklahoma Twister on it. And it was showing me how to use the AccuQuilt to cut it out. But I was having trouble because there's one part where it's talking about cutting out 5 3/4 blocks. And I was going, why, if it's basically a 2.5 inch strip quilt? And I couldn't understand it. So I kept looking at it. Couldn't make heads or tails because I wanted to use my AccuQuilt to cut off the half squares. See, because this literally, it is so cool. I'll show you in a minute. The way it cuts it out is so cool, and just pairing it up, it sews beautifully. Especially for me and my shakes, this one works great. And I can take it anywhere. So I started looking at it. I went back to watch the video. And then I found that I had not downloaded, give me a sec, this part of the pattern. Now, this is a free pattern, okay? I'm not violating anything. This is a free pattern on Carol Thelen's YouTube page, on her webpage, everywhere else. So it's free. Let me get that straight. My problem is when I'm going to start with a pattern, when I'm going to start doing anything, I look at the way it's laid out. I look at all that stuff, but then I look, how am I going to make it? Now, I usually don't have fat quarter bundles or pre-cuts in any shape because, they're expensive. They're really expensive. But I had a couple of fat quarter bundles that I had purchased at Walmart. And these are two of them. Now, these are all solid colors, which is really strange for me. They have a little bit of texture. Let me see if the camera can pick it up on the black one. You can see it's a little bit of texture in there. So I said, you know what? I got them really inexpensive. I said, okay, I'm going to take them. I thought I was going to need both fat quarter bundles. So this morning, I started playing with it because I want to take it with me to the retreat. So I started playing with it and I said, wait a minute, I have to tabulate how many fat quarters I'm going to need to make this quilt. Now, this quilt finishes at 60 by 84, which is a pretty nice sized quilt. And I said, no, I need two. So I had already purchased this, my 2.5-inch strips, because I'm going to show you the block. You see the block right there. There you go. You see that there are some rectangles in there, which are 2.5 by 2.5 by 6.5. So that's easy to cut from there. I don't have to go crazy. And then there are 2.5-inch little squares in there, besides the half square triangles. So I said, okay, so I purchased this, and I'm plugging, and I'm not sponsored, just so you know. I got these on Amazon. Oh yeah, I do have. I do have my Amazon. I have my Amazon affiliates. If you want to get these on Amazon, just check the box below. So I got these pre-cuts from there. Again, very inexpensive. So I started looking. I said, now wait a minute. One part of the pattern says cut 10 strips at 5 3/4 and then subcut into 70 5 3/4 squares. I don't know why. Then cut 9 strips at 6.5 and then subcut into 140 at 2.5 by 6.5. This is for the background. And then cut 18 strips at 2.5 and subcut into 280 squares. So I'm going, okay, but what is the 5 3/4 for? It was eating me alive. Because I wanted this because it was all 2.5 inches. All of it's 2.5. I love doing stuff at a specific measurement. So then I go into the AccuQuilt part of the instructions, and it says, use the die, which is this one, from the 8-inch cube. It's number, this one's number 5 from the 8-inch cube. And it makes half square triangles that finish at 2 inches. So I'm going, okay, why am I using 5 3/4 for that? Just didn't make sense to me. So I discarded this part in the sense of those measurements. And then when I found this one, it made a little bit more sense. I will put a link to this pattern and the video in the description box. But in the instructions on this page, it says your cutting diagrams. It gives you your cutting diagrams, and it says 2 inches by 6-inch finished rectangle. Finished. So you're cutting. Again, it's still not giving me the measurements I need. But it's telling me 2.5. It says finished, but then next to it, in the instructions, it says the width of fabric, the width is 2.5, so it's a jelly roll strip, by 6.5 rectangle. Fine, perfect. Okay, so my strips are great. I don't have to worry about it. Now for my patches. What I did, I discarded looking at this because I was getting sick. So what I did was I took, and I'll show you now with the colors that I ended up with. Oh, these are the ones. Okay. So after I made my choice, I said, okay, I'm going to take my fat quarters, because these are fat quarters, and I'm going to open them up. Now, from each fat quarter, I made my numbers. I did my math. This is every block. There's 35 12-inch blocks, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, block size is 12. So there's 35 12-inch blocks. So I wanted to know how many half squares that I'm going to get from the die do I need to make the 420 half squares that I'm going to end up needing to make the 35 blocks. Because I multiplied. And all I did was my primary color for one block. This is for just one block. How many of these half squares do I need for one block? So that's 12. 12 primary, which is the outside color in that little block you see there. See the block there? Right here? Okay, the primary color, my fingers, okay. Primary color is this. So I need 12 of those. The internal pinwheel, I only need 4. The white half squares is 16. So I said, okay, how many half squares can I get out of 1 fat quarter? So I started tabulating. If I need 12 primary for 35 blocks, I'm going to need 60. Now, 60 is a rounded out number because I'm going to get 5 blocks from this color. Okay? So I'm getting 5 blocks out of each fat quarter because I get 60. So I'll get 5 blocks. This helps me coordinate my quilt. So instead of using all of this, I decided on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. 6 primary colors because I'm going to intermingle, and I'll show you in a minute. So I'm getting 60. So I chose these colors. Now, they're all coordinated because they came in the bundle. They coordinate perfectly. I've already cut up 2, so I'll show you those 2 in a minute. 3 and 4. There we go. So these are the 4 colors I chose. This is the yellow one over here at the end. Here we go. These 4 colors are joined up with this maroon and this blue-green. So those are the 6 colors that I'm going to be using in this quilt. So I've already started cutting the whites. Okay? They're all cut up. And all you do, put them together, front facing. Again, I apologize for my shaking. Doing this up in the air is not easy. See how pretty that looks there? And you just sew from that little corner there, that little peak there to the other peak. You got a perfect half square triangle. I didn't do one because, yeah. Anyways, and that's how I did my numbers. So now I know I don't need any of the other ones. I've got enough colors here to cover the whole quilt. And I am cutting from spare, because this is just going to be for my rectangles and my little squares. I am not touching spare fabric for that. So I've already started cutting up the white. With this little piece, I'll have enough to finish. And that way I don't have to touch the strips for anything else except cutting it into the 2.5 squares and the strips. I don't know if I confused you more. But this is the way my brain works. And I do these videos because we all think differently. Things make sense in our brains in different ways. I'm chaos. I've always said this to everybody. I am pure chaos. But the way it makes sense to me is like what I was saying. I needed to know how much I need. I did it by math. I need math to be able to make sense. Because when I'm doing a scrappy quilt, believe me, my brain doesn't need that much mathing at all because it's just coming out of a piece of scrap. But when it's beautiful fat quarter bundles, because I am very, 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 very stingy with my bundles, with my pre-cuts. Any pre-cuts, it's because it's pre-cut. From here, I'll show you. This is what I have here is like about a yard. A little less than a yard. Okay, of white. This is Moda. It's the only one I like to use. I don't like to use anything else. And I said, let me take it out just in case, but I have a little bolt. It's the exact same one. That's why I don't worry, because the exact same one. But I am very, very stingy with fabric because it's getting so expensive. So I make sure that I use it sparingly. And that's why measurements in cutting for me is so important. The little scraps that came out of here, anything over 1.5 inches has already been cut, and I have it in my little scrap pile for my postage stamp quilts. I try to save as much as I can. Anything less than 1.5 inches goes into the scrap pile, and that goes to whoever's making thread or dog quilts, beddings for animals and stuff like that. I don't like to throw things away. I really don't, because everything is so expensive. But, working with pre-cuts for me. It's something I rarely do, and I am very, very, very prudent in how I use it. Very prudent because, like from here, where did I put it? Okay, they're over here. From here, I'll be able to get hopefully either a couple of use them as blenders in a couple of quilts, or maybe two more quilts using just these solids, which for me is so strange, but I'm gonna do it. And it's really good quality fabric. Truthfully, uh, I've made quilts from what's it called, Wayward, the fabric from Walmart. It's been pretty good for me, and I've made a couple of quilts that are standing up and withstanding a lot of use. So if you live on a budget like I do, don't let anyone shame you from not using fabric from Walmart or from Dollar Tree, because I've used them both and I use them a lot. So don't let anybody shame you into not using it. You use what you can. And if you can't even afford that, thrift what you got. Use what you have in your house. I have some plans on doing that pretty soon, but it'll be probably within the next 2 years. And I'll show you what I plan on doing with that. But don't let it get you down. What I do here is I iron it out. I'm going to cut it into 3-inch strips to cut here. Sometimes not even 3-inch. Like what I do with my dies is mostly I measure them, and I measure a quarter to every side so that I have enough selvage so it doesn't get caught. And like right here, it's exactly 3 inches. If I cut this way, I have 3.5. No, 3.75. So since the fabric is fairly wide, I just cut it to 3 and 3.75. I make sure I have enough. I what they call it, fan fold it. Got the word. I fan fold it until I get 6th layer, and then I do it my go. And I do them fairly quick. I got all these done this morning. I'll give you a little taste of what I have in here. So you can see there's 2 colors. They're running all over the place. Since these are only half squares, I don't have to tag them to know what they are, because each block will have one color on the outside and the pinwheel will be another color. So that is not a problem with this. Now, the rest of my cuts, my 2.5 and my 6.5-inch rectangles, will also be cut, but those will, well, not even need to be labeled because there's nothing confusing. See what I mean? That's what I mean. The way my brain works, yeah, I don't think I need to label anything. Everything's there. It's just half squares, squares, and rectangles. Just 3 shapes. 3 shapes. And that's it. 3 shapes. Half squares, because the pinwheel is made out of half squares. There's only solid colors. The only color coordination is your outside color and your inside color, and then everything else. So I don't even need to label them. In this case, I wouldn't need labeling at all. None at all. It's not necessary. For the other one that I have there to cut, that one requires a lot of organization, because even though it's all 2.5-inch squares and half square triangles, that's the whole pattern. The intricacy is in the color placement. So in that pattern, yes, I need to be organized, because that one's going to be done by Rose, and I'm going to be doing that one with all of you next year, or at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, and it's going to be amazing. I want to show you how my brain works doing that kind of a pattern, and it looks really intricate, and it's so easy. It's just heartwarming how easy it is. It's just the way you organize. The way I organize is different from you. But I want to show you how I do it, because that'll give you, hopefully it'll make you, free you from any constraints that you may have gotten from other people. Quilting is something that, even though we all watch different creators, I watch creators to see how they do things. If I can incorporate their ideas into what I do, great. If not, it just gives me a way of seeing how they do things. and keeps my mind open to ideas. I end up doing what I want anyway. Go figure. But it's always good because you learn. I've learned a lot from a lot of creators. Donna has taught me so much. And Donna's complete opposite of me. Donna's extremely organized. I am extremely chaotic, but she has taught me so much. My points have gotten better because of her. I've watched other creators right off the top of my head. I cannot tell you names. Taught me how to either iron open or iron to the dark side my seams as I place so that I get a flatter quilt. I really don't need a flat quilt because I quilt at home. I don't send them out, but it's teaching me how to, so that this year when I start using my cutie again, I will be able to quilt on it and I won't have the machine getting stuck on those seams. So that's helped me. Before I really didn't care. Now I'm trying to be more precise on the back part of my quilt just for the convenience of quilting it. Other things have been colors, using colors, the use of colors and darks, mediums, and lights. That I learned a lot with Chris O'Neill. She taught me a lot about using color. Chris and Karen Brown. They both taught me a lot about saturation and color and all that stuff. Do I use it all the time? Not on purpose. I learned and I retain a lot of what I hear, or I speak out loud, or I write it down. I take notes. I'm a note taker. So when I watch Karen and I watch Chris, I take notes and it stays in my head. So now I've learned how to do that, how to use dark, medium, light without even knowing I'm doing it, because I already have the concept in my head. It's there and I make use of it unconsciously. It's the only way I can put it. Another thing, the one that Chris taught me was using my cell phone. Oh, that helps, Chris. Thank you. Using your cell phone to see, it's helped me, and I've taken apart quilts because of it, and blocks because of that. Like the table topper that I showed you guys in my last video. It was something that had been put away because it bothered me, and I hadn't realized until I watched Chris that it was all mediums. There was no darks, there were no lights. So it was all mediums and it was annoying. We're using it because it's on the kitchen table. But the thing is, I learned from Chris how to avoid that. Again, learning. We can learn from each other. But don't let that stop you from doing you. You do things that make sense to you. If instructions, again, a lot of creators say that. This is a guide. You don't need to follow this precisely. Like I've seen people watch a video of a person making a pattern and they want to make that exact same quilt with that exact same fabric. I don't get it. Again, you do you. I don't get that. I'll look at the pattern. If I get it, great. If I don't, I leave it alone. I have a pattern that I purchased, and I don't purchase a lot of fabrics, a lot of patterns, because I love the concept of that quilt. But when I got the pattern, it doesn't make sense to me. So what I've been doing is when I'm bored, I will take the pattern out. I will read it, make notes. Read it, make notes. Still not making too much sense, but I'm getting there because I am going to make it. It's going to happen. When? I don't know, but I will make it because it is a beautiful pattern. It's absolutely stunning. Doesn't matter what colorway you make it in. Doesn't matter if you go completely scrappy or if you do solids or if you do a mixture. No matter what you do, it's a beautiful quilt. So I want to make it, but I have to understand it first or make it make sense to my way of doing things. When I find that, then I will make it. That's why I have so many UFOs of things that I've initiated. Look, the unicorn that Tiffany made about a year or 2 years ago, I have that pattern. I want to make a pillow for Mimi. But I started it, I cut it out. I cut everything out as per the instructions. started to try to put it together. Didn't make sense. But that was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Now, maybe next year, I'll take it out again and try again. I don't stress it. I'll bring it out. I have it put away. I'll bring it out, try again. If I start stressing, pick it all up, put it back in the bag, put it away. I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to put it away. Okay? That's how I do things. The Bargello that I did with Donna, that I never finished, it's in a bag. One day, I will finish it. When? Nobody knows. But I'm going to surprise everybody and then just show it. I will do it one day. And that's how I look at things. There's only one pattern, and I'm not going to show you today because I put it away. A bag that I cut. I tried to put it together. I thought I had to do something, and I cut it off, and I ruined it. So I'm going to take it apart, and I'm going to play with some felt, and I'm going to try making it with felt to see if it comes out, and then I'll try it again. But that's how I do things. If I don't understand, I have to play until I get it. So don't be afraid of doing yourself. Look at a pattern. You don't get it? Make it make sense to you and to nobody else. Okay? And have fun. I will show you this creation when I'm finished. It will be there. And I'll show you what else I'm going to make with the rest of this when I find another pattern. Although I'm almost sure this is going to go into the Harper quilt. Donna, what do you think? The Harper quilt? Probably. This will probably go into the Harper quilt. Because I have enough there to make the Harper quilt. And I had enough there to make this one. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to let you guys go. This is how I do it. Do it your own way. Have fun. Don't let it stress you. Don't let it bring you down. Don't try to do what other people do. You do you. Love you all. Be good. And remember, being imperfect is always being perfectly loved. Bye.